Hi guys, welcome back to another edition of Max and Nicky 1000th Time Reactions.
On this episode, we're going to be listening to What a Fool Believes by the Doobie Brothers.
Gotta love it. You know, I know this song.
Seminal hit and what they now call yacht rock.
I don't like to call it that.
I don't like to call it
to call
that
it late
either.
70s, early 80s adult contemporary
I like
music.
to call it that too, Nicky. That's how I like to call it.
And eventually we'll react to Steal Away by Robbie Dupree, which sounds
Very
pretty similar,
yeah.
but it's also a very good song too.
Very good as well.
This is a great song. Before we get into it, just want to remind you all, that, like I usually do, that we have another channel called Max and Nicky, on which we cover oldies, tunes, jazz standards, and songs in that vein.
And we got some comedy videos on there as well.
But in the meantime,
let's get into it. What a Fool Believes by the Doobie Brothers.
for our 1000th time.
He came from somewhere back in how long ago. The sentimental fool don't see, trying hard to recreate what had yet to be created. Once in her life, she musters a smile for his nostalgic tale. Never coming near what he wanted to say, only to realize it never really was. She had a place in his life. He never made her think twice. As she rises to her apology, anybody else would surely know. He's watching her go. What a fool believes he sees. The wise man has the power to reason away what seems to be is always better than nothing, and nothing at all. Keep sending him somewhere back in long ago, where he can still believe there's a place in her life. Someday, somewhere, she will return. She had a place in his life. He never made her think twice. As she rises to her apology, anybody else would surely know. He's watching her go. What a fool believes he sees. The wise man has the power to reason away what seems. Love can come and love can go. I can't know it's always better than nothing. Who got the power and nothing at all? Oh, now what a fool believes. I believe she's never gone away. He sees. The wise man has the power to reason away. Oh, he sees. Love can come and love can go. To be all I know is always better than nothing, better than nothing, and nothing at all.
You know, it doesn't get any much better than that, does it?
I know.
It's so good.
It's so good. I mean, and you know what? I'm going to sound like an old fuddy-duddy right now, but I got to say, what a unique voice Michael McDonald has. I feel like I mean, back in the day, you had so much variation in types of voices in music.
All
in
the pop
music.
stars today have the same sounding
A lot of
voice.
pop
Hard
stars-
to decipher one from the other.
Right. I mean, there are people you can decipher, of course, but a lot of them sound very similar, though.
Sure.
I mean,
They're all
people
trying
were-
to sound like some sort of produced sound that they've heard somebody else, that their idea of what they think is good singing. There's not enough originality. They're not honest with themselves.
I mean, that
and
is
their
such
voices.
what an original, unique voice Michael McDonald
But also,
has, you know?
what's also interesting is how that Doobie Brothers, that sound of the Doobie Brothers is very different from the
Doobie
early
Brothers
70s.
From the early 70s, yeah.
I mean, you know, it just, when Michael McDonald joined the band, he eventually replaced the lead singer, forgetting his name, Tom something. I'm forgetting his name right now. But the sound really changed to this more late 70s, early 80s adult contemporary music.
Right. And you saw
Minute by minute, you know.
I mean, you saw other bands in that vein that had previously had this kind of, I would say sort of jazz rock kind of feel to it that started going a little bit more softer, like Chicago, for instance, you know.
Sure, yeah. Chicago eventually became all about the ballads. You know?
Yeah, they did. I think they were just seeing, you know, the tide was changing a little bit in terms of tastes and, you know. But hey, you know, I embraced, I mean, I wasn't alive back then, but I like both versions of the band.
But you know, something that, you know, I used to, when I was younger, not focus on in this song was the lyrics. But the lyrics are really cool, actually, good, you know. As he rises to her apology, anybody else would surely know he's watching her go. What a fool believes, you know. Like, he's, you know, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory, but I think they're good lyrics, you know. You know, he thinks that he's apologizing to him, but really, you know, he doesn't realize that she's going to leave him, you know?
Right. I mean, what a fool believes, you know? And I love this, you know, there's kind of this stereo effect of like, you know, of the keyboard over here and what's going on over here as well. You know, it's kind of doing this back and forth thing, which is really cool.
Sure. I'm just pulling up the lyrics here real quick just to...
And also, let's see, what else do we have as well? We got, I love how the bass it's not doing too much as well. It's kind of this sparse thing that's playing these intentioned notes in well-intentioned placements of the notes. You know, I think that's really cool. You know, to give it just an extra weight each time, you know, it enters and I think it's not being too busy.
Listen to this.
The bassist knows what the bassist is doing.
She had a place in his life. He never made her think twice. As he rises to her apology, anybody else would surely know he's watching her grow. What a fool believes he sees. No wise man has the power to reason away. What seems to be is always better than nothing, and nothing at all keeps sending him somewhere back in her longer. Anyway, they're good lyrics. You know, they're good lyrics.
Sure, man, sure.
Which, you know, with this such a catchy tune, you don't often pay attention to the lyrics. In fact, somebody who has such catchy tunes, but also just very good lyricist too, is Billy Joel, and we'll get into him very soon here on this channel.
Sure.
Probably the next couple days. But
sure.
You know, obviously the keyboard in this song is really cool.
It's just so iconic. I mean, what an iconic sound. You know,
but I think there's also a piano going on at the same time too. You know,
and then you also have the strings on the left.
The strings
as
on the
well,
left
ear.
I mean, yeah, the keyboard is very, very iconic.
Very iconic. You know, they had a very good grasp of jazz harmony back on the day.
You know, a lot of those musicians at the time, they were jazz musicians too.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
Or they're top-notch musicians that were session musicians. I mean, you know, Michael McDonald, he was a session vocalist for Steely Dan.
Steely Dan, and we'll listen to a classic song by Steely Dan, "Peg," in a coming episode.
Sure, yeah, and on which like there's a bunch of studio musicians that like Steve Gadd,
right? But also Michael McDonald is on that song as well.
No, I know, yeah,
and we'll point it out when his voice is heard.
But until then, that'll do it for this reaction video. Before you click off of this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ding that post notification bell so you can find out about more reaction videos from us, Max and Nicky.
That's right. And keep tuning in.
Mm-hmm.